If you've clicked on this video, chances are that you know what you need to do, but you can't get yourself to do it. Or worse, you don't even know what you need to do in life. Like, you're completely lost. Now, the universe is not conspiring against you. There is no ghost that's snoozing those alarms. It's you. It's all on you. You can either be your biggest best friend or your worst enemy. So you get to choose that. Now, I'm not here to motivate you or to bash you and, to create this emotion in you to just, get the thing done, and then later you're back to your neutral state of doing nothing and, procrastinating. I'm just here to give you some practical tips that has helped me. So most of it is coming from experience, and also it has been proven by research, by science. Now, if you Google the term law of conformity, what it means is that we are more likely to make decisions, follow habits, and live a lifestyle that fits into our environment, that is acceptable by our environment, by our social circle. So it completely makes sense when Jim Rohn says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. Your peer group, your friends, all of these things have a big impact on your life and your future. The things you consume, whether it's online content, the things you watch, the things you hear, even the things you eat, everything that's going inside of you, like what they say, you are what you eat. So, that makes complete sense now, right? So everything that you consume, it is not just affecting your physical and mental health now, it's kind of creating your future. Like, I can easily tell how your future can look like, let's say in terms of health and financial areas, if you just tell me your routine. And if I just see your trolley when you go for grocery, like what are the things you are eating, what are the things you do in your free time. You can even, let's say, Google the term mirror neuron system, and that can tell you everything. Everything that we do and say is influenced by the people around us. It obviously makes sense when we say that you need to create systems, you need to create an environment that supports your goals. And again, so environment and willpower are like the two opposite forces. So in the long run, willpower will always win. So that's why Peter Sage says that environment beats will. Something that really alarmed me was when I read in Atomic Habits that bad habits are almost impossible to eliminate. The reason is that once the neurological pathway has been set in your brain, it can always go back and act upon that habit when the situation allows it to. So what it means is, and now that you think of it, people who struggle with drinking problems, smoking, or any sort of addiction, even if, let's say, they've been sober for 10 years, 20 years, they still have to take a conscious effort to stay away from people and places and things that could trigger those that addiction, or they could relapse. So why is that? Because even if, let's say, they have been sober for all these years, when they are in that situation, they need to practice a strong willpower. They need to resist that environment. And that's exhausting. That's against our human nature. And our brain knows that, how to relapse. Now, if you're confused about where you are right now, let's say you do have some healthy habits, but you often, slack, and you have some cheat days, and then you're back on your old ways. The best way to measure this is a concept that I learned from Peter Sage, that is place you visit and the place you live. For example, do you visit the gym more, or do you visit McDonald's? Do you visit emotions of fear and stress, or do you visit emotions of joy more often? Of course, life is hard, but you've got to wake up every day and set the intention of the emotions you're going to feel. That's what we call meditation. And if you're not doing that, then you're just always going to be in a reaction mode. and just let your circumstances dictate your emotions. So yes, the question is, what emotions do you feel most of the time? Because the place you visit eventually turns into the place you live. So not just physically but emotionally. So wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, let's say in your free time, are you engaging in mindless entertainment, instant gratification, or are you actually trying to learn something new and just doing something healthy? Ideally, you would want to visit more of those places where you want to be, so that it kind of becomes your subconscious. It becomes your second nature. So growth and consistency is not 100% linear. The point is, when you fall, you've got to ask yourself, how frequent am I falling? And how long does it take for me to get back up? Why even do all of this? I mean, what's even the point? What's your core reason? Why are you even watching this video? Why are you even doing the things that you're trying to do? Why are you trying to improve your life? The thing is, if you don't have a strong why, you're always going to struggle. You're always going to be demotivated and just question everything, like, why am I doing this? Because you don't know your why. I mean, most of us know what we want in life, but we don't know why we want them. I mean, we could have a vague and a shallow idea, like, I want to lose weight, or I want to gain weight because I want to look good. Okay, that's a valid reason, but there has to be a deeper reason than that. You've got to do kind of a root cause analysis as to what's the core reason, what's your purpose, and only then you can wake up every day at 5 a.m. and do the thing that you want to do, even if you're not feeling like it. And that's what you call discipline. Again, it comes back to not relying on motivation, but having a strong why. And something I would highly recommend is that you just take your journal or take a paper and pencil and just write down at least 50 reasons. Although I think it should be 100, but let's say just 50 reasons as to why you think you want to achieve those goals. Let's say your top 3 goals, and then read them every day, every single day, at least in the beginning of when you're trying to inculcate a new habit or trying to improve something in your brain. Once it's in your subconscious, then you'll know what your why is, and then you don't need to remind someone to remind you to do the thing or to wake up. I mean, you just automatically, it's default. That's who you are. It's your nature to do it. And trust me, when you have a strong why, when you have a big enough why, the how will show up. So like I said before, it's hard to change the macro environment of your life, like the country you live in, your family, especially your family. I mean, you cannot change your family, you cannot change your parents or your siblings, but you can just be an example and an invitation for them, as Peter Sage says. And speaking of family, I don't find many mainstream self-improvement gurus or people who are just giving advice for the sake of giving advice talk about how to actually deal with toxic or narcissist parents and siblings, because sometimes leaving is not an option. I mean, it's cheap and easy advice to say that just block the negative people out of your life, just leave, move out. Yes, you can, but sometimes that really isn't an option right now. Let's say you're a 16-year-old studying, you don't earn yet, you're still dependent on your parents. So what do you do in that situation? Given that you have the maturity to understand the problems at home and you have done your best to improve the situation by improving yourself, by being an example and an invitation, and it still feels like it's exhausting you and it's affecting your mental health, then you've got to ask yourself some questions. What are the things I have control upon? How can I minimize the environment's effect on me? How can I preserve my energy? So how do you navigate yourself in your home, in your house, knowing that you are living with people who are draining your energy? And honestly, it's mostly the drama. So the more you get involved into it, the more you are emotionally affected, That's how it affects your productivity and your mental health. So you can you can minimize the environment's effect on you by preserving your energy and creating a support system around you. Let's say by having good friends with whom you share your values and just keeping to yourself. So don't be discouraged when you hear someone say that you're the sum of your environment or you're the product of your environment. No, you're not the product of your environment. Your environment doesn't define you. It gives you the opportunity to define yourself. Now, there are plenty of things that you can control. Like I said, your friends, your social circle, the things you consume, and it affects your spirituality. I mean, how do you feel when you watch something online? Does it give you peace or does it give you anxiety? I mean, the best decision of my life was when I just quit social media and I deleted everything, and that just improved my mental health so much. And I stopped reading the news and I just removed all of those things, and that's when I actually started making progress. Again, it wasn't my motivation or willpower, it was just creating a system around me. It was clearing all of those crap and actually then cultivating all of the good habits. Do you have a workspace that actually motivates you? What are your peak productive hours? What do you eat when you hang out with your friends? What values do you share with your friends? How is your sleep cycle? How much time do you get alone? And what do you do in that alone time? Once you start asking yourself all of these questions, then congratulations. You are getting out of the autopilot mode of life and you are taking your power back. You're not sleeping awake anymore. And this may require you to be isolated for a while. And that's okay. Honestly, we all need it's so essential to be alone and to spend time with yourself, because how else would you self-reflect and how else would you improve? So just sit and just look at yourself in the mirror and think about it. Who are you? What is your identity? And that brings me to the next point. The strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent in how we define ourselves. So how do you define yourself? For example, you're feeling sad right now. Do you say, I am sad, or I'm a sad person? Or do you just say, I'm feeling sad, I'm just, feeling emotions of sadness? Because those two are very different things. The way you talk to yourself, the words that you use to describe yourself, it's like you're identifying yourself, like you're defining yourself. That is your truth. Even when let's say we go to the doctors, a person who's diagnosed with diabetes, the doctor or everyone just calls him or her a diabetic. A person who struggles with alcohol or any sort of addiction, they call that person an addict. When you associate your identity with your problems, then that's what you become, a problem. You've got to remove all of those labels. I mean, when someone meets you, when they say, hi, how are you, or what's your name? You say, hi, I'm diabetic, I'm an addict. You don't say that. Just think, sit alone right now and write down all of the attributes that you think you have. Like, who are you? Remove all the labels. I'm a business associate, I'm a father of two. No, who are you in the core? Your soul. Everything, just write down who you think you are and be objective and realistic. Remove all of those things that, even if let's say you're struggling with something, remove all of those flaws and write down all of the things, all of the qualities that you are and you want to be. Because most of us think that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to make your first sale, you need to sell something, and then you qualify as an entrepreneur. No, you already need to be an entrepreneur, and then you take the actions and the steps. So how else are you supposed to act like or take decisions as an entrepreneur if you don't identify as one? And the same goes for happiness. We are looking for happiness, we're chasing happiness. How about you just feel happy right now? Think of happy thoughts and feel happy. change your mood, and then see how your day goes. Because it's our very own rules of happiness that keep us away from feeling happy. And the same goes for everything else. Happiness is just an example. Like, whoever you want to be, believe that you already are. It's not delusion. Let's just throw law of attraction out of the window. I mean, just leave all of that. It's just common sense. It's science. How else are you supposed to be that person if you don't act like that person and be that person? So the bottom line is, unless you are a superhuman with enormous willpower, you need to create a system. You need to create an environment in which you can thrive, not just survive. So next time, before you beat yourself over not being consistent, just try to observe the cues, the things that trigger you going back to your old patterns. And once you remove those distractions, those roadblocks, then you can create space for something that you want to be, for being better, for improving your life.